Black Panther is a 96 rated film in the New York Times top 100 films of the 21st century. R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman, who was a great actor. A little fun fact about me, my favorite role by Boseman is actually when he played James Brown and not Black Panther, though I digress. Black Panther is an amazing film that does not deserve to be on this list. No matter how you feel about the New York Times or the positions of your favorite films in this list, I think we can agree that compared to other movies, there is a difference in this movie compared to others in the list in general, but even up until this point. Memories of Murder, Superbad, Grizzly Man, Gravity are all either deeply emotional and impactful, or in Superbad's case, set the tone for an era in its genre. It's a time capsule that is still a good movie. While of course Black Panther had a major impact on culture, it is very much different. I would even go so far as to say, while narratively more interesting, Black Panther does not belong here, but the first Iron Man, which really catapulted the MCU, does. Obviously excluding Blade, because we're talking about the 21st century films. The movie does a great job of showing Africa as the beautiful, wealthy nation that it is, instead of how a lot of media, especially Western media, portrays Africa as this poor, poverty-stricken sort of hellscape. Africa is poor because of imperialism in European countries intervening throughout history, not because there are some backwards barbarians like you see in a lot of media. It touches on conversations like blackness and being African American. I think you could even have a very nuanced conversation about black capitalism and the issues with it. T'Challa, along with the previous kings until Killmonger came along, had this notion that they should be an isolationist nation that only provides for those within its borders, and allowing hundreds of years of slavery to systemic racism and imperialism to happen when they could have intervened. And this mindset ultimately led to the country almost crumbling, which I think in a lot of ways can be used to talk about black excellence, black liberalism, and black capitalist belief that the structures in society can be overcome if black people just accumulate enough wealth and invest in black people, completely ignoring the issues that plague the black community and are a feature of the system, not a bug. And instead of trying to seek genuine liberation, the oppressed often opt for becoming the oppressor instead. Wakanda on its surface is this beautiful, technologically advanced nation that was built on blood. They hoarded resources and advancements in medicine and technology that could have stopped so much horror happening in the world. No matter what anyone tells you, inaction in the face of horrific things is essentially just a cosign. Despite all the good I could ramble about Black Panther has, it doesn't belong in this list. It's a great movie, but ultimately Marvel movies just essentially are the McDonald's of films. I talked about this in my review of the most recent Superman, but Marvel manufactured movies like store-bought cookies. They were just churned out and meant to have mass appeal. There's inherently a removal of artistry behind it. McDonald's isn't switching it up, pushing boundaries and trying new things. It's pursuing profit as much as it can, so it will stick with the formula that has worked in the past. And that's why Marvel movies are like McDonald's. Putting Marvel movies on this list is like putting McDonald's and a top-rated steakhouse on the same list. Like, sure, they're both restaurants, but it's not comparable. And some of you may say, oh, I hate bougie restaurants like that and prefer McDonald's. And that's absolutely fine. But you're admitting that there is a difference in quality that you prefer. And that's absolutely fine, but what Marvel did to movies strips them of their creativity and limits them in order for mass appeal. The care that goes into normal films outweighs what went into Marvel films. Even if we are to stick with just Black Panther, there are so many difficult and nuanced topics that could have been meditated on in a normal film that Black Panther hints at, like tradition, systemic racism, the cultural differences and clashes that can happen between Black Americans and African Americans, and so many more topics, all incredibly interesting, but feel like just minor blips just to be used in the background, as the focus and appeal is Black Panther, which to some degree I completely understand. And while that adds flavor to the film though, it ultimately still just makes it a hero's journey 20 piece with a few interesting dipping sauces that aren't quite enough to set it apart from any other Marvel film. I just genuinely believe the factory level quality and output makes Marvel movies not a contender for this list. Ryan Coogler is a phenomenal director who has a clear vision, but I think was was limited by Marvel's desire to not tell a story but create a product. And I think that cheapens the artistry put into other movies on this list. Also, while I was editing this essay, I realized I had finished this essay before finishing my rewatch of Black Panther, which I think helps my point. I don't need to rewatch this film. There isn't anything in Marvel movies that requires a rewatch in case you miss something. Of course you can rewatch them, and that's fine, but what you see is what you get, so you took what you got and it gave what you took. All of that to say is, it's a Big Mac. Shut up and eat it, or don't. No one's holding a gun to your head, but everyone will look at you sideways if you try to proclaim that it was the greatest burger you've ever had and is better than other burgers. You know what you're getting, so just enjoy it. And again, I like Black Panther. Don't get me wrong, I adore this movie. I think Chadwick Boseman did an amazing job. The acting is solid. Coogler is a great director. The visuals of the film, the shots, the action scenes, everything about this movie has the ingredients to be a great movie. On purpose. That's kind of the point. They chose these ingredients for that purpose. Hell, I even love the underpinning story of Killmonger, this young black American man who has grown up in poverty, even though he is just as much royalty as T'Challa, and the grievances he has with Wakanda, and the conversation of, does Wakanda have an obligation to improve the world or even help black people / descendants of slavery? Which, for the record, yes they do. If you as a powerful nation stand by while other human beings are harmed by other countries systemically, physically, and alike, you might as well say you agree with it. Anyway, even though I think these conversations aren't touched on in depth or as deeply as I would have liked because of the limitations put on it by it being a Marvel movie, Black Panther is a great film. It still doesn't belong on this list though. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope my diatribe was mildly entertaining or insightful in some way, or just kept you company on in the background. If it was, consider liking or subscribing, whatever. Anyway, peace.